is about the proliferation of short-term mindset to investing. As more money is being placed under absolute return mandate, these managers, as you just said, respond to the same response and crowded trades issues. So with credit spread on, I should say, risk premium on various products declining across the board and correlation across markets increasing, can we read into it and say whether it's healthy or not healthy for the economy or the market? And can we arguably say the portfolio insurance dynamics is already in place today?
Well, I think you put your finger on it, and we do think it's unhealthy. Obviously, if you take, there's no way of precisely measuring this, but I'm quite certain I'm right. If you take the degree to which, say, either bonds or stocks, the percentage of them that are held by people who could change their minds tomorrow morning based on a given stimulus, whether it be something the Fed does or whether it be some kind of an accident in financial markets, the percentage is far higher. There is an electronic herd of people around the world managing huge amounts of money who think that a decision on everything in their portfolio should be made basically daily or hourly or by the minute. And that has increased turnover on the New York Stock Exchange, and I don't know the exact figures, but I think it was down around the 15 or 20% range 40 years ago, and it's increased it to 100%, I believe, plus now. So, and certainly in the bond market, the turnover of bonds has increased dramatically. People used to buy bonds to own them, and they buy bonds to trade them. And there's nothing evil about that, but it just means that the participants are playing a different game. And that different game can have different consequences than in a buy and hold environment. And I do think it means that if you're trying to beat the other fellow on a day-to-day basis, you're watching news events very carefully, or watching the other fellow very carefully. And if you think he's about to hit that key, you're going to try and hit the key faster if that's the game you're playing, and if you're getting measured on results weekly. So I think that you have described the conditions that will lead to a result that we've been talking about expecting at some point. It's not new to markets, though. I mean, markets do crazy things over time. Every time when Charlie and I were at Solomon, they'd always talk to us about 5 sigma events or 6 sigma events. And that's fine if you're talking about flipping coins. But it doesn't mean anything when you get human behavior involved. And people do things and intelligent people do things, very intelligent, educated people do things that are totally irrational, and they do them en masse. And you saw it in 1998, you saw it in 2002, and you'll see it again, and you'll see it. It's more likely to happen when you have people trying to beat currency, bond, stock markets day by day. I think it's a fool's game, but it may be what's required to attract money. When I set up my partnership, I told the partners, you'll hear from me once a year. And I even thought, in 1962, I put the partnerships together, and in May of 1962, the market got terrible. And I actually thought of sending all my partners a letter and then sending it down to Brazil to have it re-shipped back up, just to sort of test them out, and so how they felt about things. But I had a few with bad hearts. I decided it wasn't worthwhile. Charlie?
Yeah, when people talk about sigmas in terms of disaster potentialities in markets, they're all crazy. They got the idea that bad results in markets would be predicted by Gaussian distributions. And the way they decided on that outcome was it made everything so easy to compute. They don't follow Gaussian distributions. You have to believe in the tooth fairy to believe that. And the disasters are bigger and more irritating than Gauss would have predicted.
It was easier to teach as well.
It was easier to teach, too.
Yeah.
I once asked this distinguished medical school professor why he was still doing an obsolete procedure, and he said it's so wonderful to teach.
There's more of that in finance departments than you might think. It's very discouraging to learn advanced mathematics and how to do things that none but the priesthood can do in your field, and then find out it doesn't have any meaning. And what you do when confronted with that knowledge after you've invested these years to get your PhD, and you've maybe written a textbook and a paper or two, having a revelation that stuff has no utility at all and really has counter utility. I'm not sure too many people can handle it well, and I think they just generally keep on teaching.